Welcome to another episode of Mark's Side of the Ring. I am your host, Miguel Minetti, alongside my co-host, Nick Fiorentino. Nick, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hoping everybody has a happy Labor Day this weekend and ready to talk some wrestling as always.
Yes, and Nick's got his signature drink as always. What are you drinking today, Nick? Why don't you show the viewers? What do you got there?
I got a little Cutwater tequila margarita.
Nice.
12.5% alcohol, so by the end of the show, I'm feeling okay.
Sounds like Nick's ready to roll. Well, we got a jam-packed show for everyone today. We're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. So this upcoming Saturday, of course, is AEW's quarterly pay-per-view called All Out. So we're going to be spending about the first half of the show doing a predictions around the 9 confirmed matches as of now for the pay-per-view this Saturday, I should say. And then we're going to spend the second 30 minutes talk about maybe some news in WWE this week, as this past week there was a lot of big news with SmackDown and then Payback being a week after SummerSlam. So a lot of stuff to get into. Nick, I'm ready to go. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready to go.
All right. So why don't we just jump right on into it? We're going to, like I said, talk about the all-out pay-per-view. We're going to give our predictions similar like we did for SummerSlam. I know we didn't get a chance to do it for Payback, but we're back at it now with the all-out prediction show here. So why don't we just jump right into it? First thing I have on my list here is I have the kickoff match, as AEW likes to call it, the buy-in match, is going to be Dr. Britt Baker versus Big Swole in a tooth and nail match, which I think is funny because the match is actually going to be at Dr. Britt Baker's office or dentist's office, being that she's an actual dentist. So who do you got in this match and why?
I was going to say, it sounds like, excuse me, it sounds like it has all the makings of a cinematic match. So we're not out of the woods yet when it comes to these cinematic matches. I'm going to go Big Swole, getting her revenge. Could go, obviously answer, it could go one of two ways, but I think Big Swole could pick up her revenge. If Britt Baker is to win, I predict her to jump into the title picture immediately following the win.
I think this is Britt's first match in quite some time, right? Because she had the injury right before Double or Nothing. So
yeah,
interesting to see how she's going to look, being that she still has the face guard on her face. I think she had a broken nose or what have you. I'm not sure if it's legit or not, but yeah, I'm going Dr. Britt Baker as well too. I think she's the star, one of the big stars.
Well, I went Big Swole. Yeah, we're already against each other in the first match.
Look at that. Yeah, I got Dr. Britt. I believe she was the first signee of AEW. She's the flagship of the women's division, in my opinion, even though she's not the women's champion. But I'm going Dr. Britt Baker on this. So for those of you keeping score while you're watching along, make sure we got to see who wins here between Nick and I. I think for SummerSlam, we ended even, right? We both got one match wrong.
Yeah, we ended even, and we didn't do it for Payback. But I think when we were talking, we were pretty close with that too.
Yeah. Yep. Let's move on to the next match here. We have the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. Who do you got on this one?
I'm going to go the Bucks. I think in foreshadowing my prediction for the title match, but the stars are aligned for FTR and the Bucks. To be fighting for the title. So I'm going to go Young Bucks here.
I want to ask you real quick with the Bucks. Have you been a fan of them for a while now? Because they've been all over the internet for like the last 5 years or so. Have you been really following their career?
No, full disclosure, I'm a WWE mark. I don't really watch anything outside of them. Back when the Monday Night Wars existed, I was big-time WWE, did not watch WCW. Appreciate it more now. And I do watch AEW, although pre-AEW, I was really just focused on the WWE product itself. So didn't know a lot about them, but I knew the name and I knew the hype behind them. Excited to watch them once they started in AEW, and I think they've exceeded the expectations of what I thought they could do, which was pretty high expectations based on what other people said they can do. So I do like the Young Bucks. They're entertaining. I mean, they're a classic tag team, kind of like a rocker vibe, but they're really talented.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Young Bucks, I have been following their career, not very closely, but just everything that was on the internet and full disclosure, I've always been a full WWE market as well, and I'm sure Nick, he'll bust my chops about it all the time. But I always heard some good things about the Bucks. Really didn't start watching a lot of their stuff until AEW started, but I've been pretty impressed with what they do. I mean, they really haven't delivered a bad match. And as far as my prediction goes, I'm going with the Young Bucks too. I like Jurassic Express. I think they got a unique look to them, especially Luchasaurus, who's like an 8-foot giant that wears a mask. It looks like a half man, half dinosaur, which is pretty funny. He's legit.
Jack Monster too.
Yeah, he's tall as shit too. When I saw him on the cruise, I have a picture with him. He's legit a monster. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Young Bucks.
He had the mask on the whole time on the cruise?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had the mask on the whole time. Jungle Boy was real cool. Marco Stunt legit is like 4'11". I mean, no joke. The kid is very, very small, very talented in the ring, but he's legit as tiny as you see on TV, which is interesting to see. Let's jump over to the Casino Battle Royal. So what I like about the Battle Royal is it's actually for a #1 contendership. So the winner of the Battle Royal will actually get a future AEW championship opportunity at a later date. I'll read you the contestants that are in it so far. So we got Darby Allin, we got Lance Archer, we got Ricky Starks, we got Brian Cage, Pentagon, Ray Phoenix Jr., we got The Butcher, The Blade, Kofi Kingston's brother, Eddie Kingston, just joking there, Sean Spears, the one, Billy Gunn, his son, Austin Gunn, Jake Hager, Santana, Ortiz, Chucky, and Trent Beretta, and then it says to be named more. So I think that's 17. There's going to be 21 in this Battle Royal, which is interesting that they're going with 21 and not 20, but out of all those names that are battled off, who makes the most sense to you to win and why?
I don't know. I mean, with these Battle Royals, they're tough. I'm going to go ahead and say the winner will be not one of the people you announced. I mean, if fantasy booking, let's get Rusev in there. Let's get Rusev to win. Let's have Rusev feud with Moxley or MJF, depending on who wins. If I had to pick one of the names that you listed, I mean, Jack Hager's been talking a lot about being, dominant, one of the most dominant guys. He's kind of taking on that UFC, / WWE Brock Lesnar character, for AEW, the mixed martial arts and the pro wrestler. So if I had to pick somebody, Jack Hager, but I'm hoping it's somebody that hasn't been named yet, particularly Rusev.
All right, well, pick one. We got Hager or Rusev?
I'm going Rusev. You just said pick one of the guys that you named. I would love Rusev. I'm going Rusev.
I'm going to go with Eddie Kingston. I don't know if you've seen a lot of his work on AEW. He's only been on the scene there for the last month or so, but my man can talk. He's got a look to him. He's got great mic skills. I mean, this guy has star-making power written all over him. He's athletic as hell. I've seen him in the ring. I mean, he's got like this brawler-type badass, that thick New York accent. I think he's maybe some sort of Spanish, right, his heritage, but the guy looks like he's straight out of the Bronx. I mean, he's somebody that looks like he could whoop your ass in real life. So I like him. I think he could be a natural heel. You got Moxley, which we'll get to later, but especially if it's going to be Moxley retaining the title, I think him and Kingston makes the most sense in my opinion. Let's move over to the next match. So we have a tag team match. We have the Dark Order versus the team of Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder, Scorpio Sky, Dustin Rhodes, and QT Marshall. So who do you got? You got Dark Order, or do you got the other bunch here?
Underwhelming match. Not a lot there. No Cody. I'm going Dark Order. It's not even the full Dark Order, right? It's like some pieces.
The Dark Order to me is becoming like the NWO, right? They're recruiting everybody. I mean, I think it's really cool. I really liked them a lot. Mr. Brody Lee is awesome. I mean, to see Luke Harper transform into this guy, and we could talk about this probably for 20 minutes if we wanted, you and I. I mean, leaps and bounds above his, gifted ability, what he was able to do in WWE, which it sucks that Vince never saw that in him. But, he's made a second resurgence for himself, a new career for himself as Mr. Brody Lee. Dark Order is really cool, but they're getting to the point where they're just recruiting everybody. I see. They brought in Anna Jay. They brought in Colt Cabana. I think Colt Cabana's on this team. It's Cabana. It's Mr. Brody Lee. and a couple other guys in the Dark Order. So I'm going to go with Dark Order. Not a match that I'm really looking forward to. I liked where they were heading with beating up Cody, and Mr. Brody Lee took the TNT championship off of Cody Rhodes, but don't really care, I guess, too much. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm going Dark Order on this one.
No, I think Dark Order too, and it one of the things that AEW seems to do, and maybe it's just me, and maybe they don't do it, but it seems like every time I turn on AEW, there's an 8-man tag. It seems like they're almost like a participation, like they're trying to get everybody on the show, no matter what. I'd like to see them kind of scale that back a little bit. I don't need to see everybody on the show. I could just see some of the guys. I think if you put everybody on the show, it's kind of like that participation trophy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to work towards. I think they're different from WWE in the sense that WWE has a history of kind of picking and choosing who they want to be on TV, regardless of who's kind of getting over with the crowd. Hint, hint, Zack Ryder. But I think where AEW would be different is I think they would put on the people that are getting hyped by the crowd, COVID-19 aside. The guys that are hyped and the guys that the fans want to watch, I think would be on TV and positioned to be on TV. You don't need to put everybody on the card. We don't need 8-man tags every single week. It's like Teddy Long. It's like they got 2 Teddy Longs to be the GMs of AEW, and they're doing, instead of tag team matches every single week, it's 8-man tags every single week. It kind of gets repetitive.
When you said Zack Ryder, I'm going to put you on the spot. Why don't you give a 30-second speech of your Zack Ryder story when we went to TLC? Remember in 2011?
Oh well, I wanted to buy something for sure for Zack Ryder, and that was a time where his hair, the merchandise came out with his hair, and I put it on, and I didn't think it was that believable, but I can't tell you how many people thought it was my real hair and didn't know that this product existed, that you could buy his hair. And actually, in that pay-per-view that he beat Dolph Ziggler for the title, when he's hugging his father, you could see us in the background, and you could see me specifically kind of sticking my head out, and I'm wearing his stupid hair. I could talk about Zack Ryder. I mean, I'm a huge Zack Ryder fan. I think he's super talented. I think he got over on his own.
Yeah.
With his own material, and then WWE kind of screwed it up. Now that he's in AEW, I'm hoping it's longer than the shortened contract that we heard of.
Yeah.
I think if he's given time to create his own character and his own kind of storytelling, I think he can get over big time in AEW. I think Zack Ryder's great.
How jacked is he too now, right? Like he took the 3-month hiatus when WWE let him go due to COVID, and I don't know, my man was just pumping iron in the gym or some shit. Well,
you saw the same thing with Roman Reigns. I mean, these guys clearly have at-home gyms, and there's nothing else to do but work out. I mean, Roman Reigns, Zack Ryder, even Rusev. And I keep going back to him, but if you've seen pictures of him, I mean, they're fucking enormous.
We missed the memo, I think.
Yeah, really. I've gone 2 days in a row. The gym's opened up.
Oh, really? Did you go?
Yesterday. Yeah, I went today and yesterday, so I'm pretty sore.
Well, I don't think anyone gives a shit about our gym experience, so we'll move on.
Yeah.
The next match we got on here is I'm going to go with, let's see, which one should we go with next? Let's go with the Broken Rules match. So we got Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. That one's been interesting. I don't know if you like the build-up to this, but they've been beating the shit out of each other for like the last month now. I mean, no, more than the last month. It started back with Double or Nothing. Remember the spot where Matt Hardy was driving the golf cart and he clipped Sammy Guevara right in the face and he went flying? Remember that? I mean, that was a hell of a scene. So
we talked 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned how much of a star I think Sammy Guevara is. I'd love to see him win. The problem in all of this is I believe Matt Hardy's career in AEW is on the line. I guess if they wanted to give Sammy Guevara the win, they can bring Matt Hardy back as one of his characters, like,
yeah,
the normal Matt Hardy can't compete in AEW anymore, but maybe Broken or V1 or whatever the case may be. But I'm going to go Matt Hardy on the fact that I don't think his career is over in AEW. I think it's just beginning.
You think so? Because I don't know. I'm kind of torn with this one. Ultimately, I think I'm going to pick Matt Hardy too, just for bragging rights here. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sammy Guevara won and Matt Hardy just kind of went into a producer role backstage. Because ultimately, I think that's where he's going to end up. I think he's going to end up working in the back with the boys.
I do too, but it just doesn't. If you listen to him on Jericho's podcast, he's when he was first released from WWE or asked out of his contract, it does seem like he has plenty left in the tank. He still wants to continue to wrestle. They're going to give him a platform to do so. They honor the legends better than anybody. I mean, Goldust has a match. So they definitely honor the legends of past, which is something I think AEW does a great job with. So I don't think his career is over. Like I said, if you give Guevara the win, you can always recreate Matt Hardy as something else. But I'm going to give Matt Hardy the win here. I think he's going to win.
Let me ask you real quick, not to spend too much time on this match, but why do you think he's not been broken Matt Hardy for the last couple of months?
I don't know. And I saw there was an interview on it, and he kind of went into it. I don't know if you watched the interview or you read it. I don't have an answer. I think maybe he just wants to try something different. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Matt Hardy. On truth be told, I like the broken gimmick a bit better than just the regular never die Matt Hardy. I mean, he's cool, you know? Like, honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm a WWE mark. I like Jeff Hardy better. I've always liked Jeff Hardy better. I always thought Jeff Hardy was the bigger star. You know, I think the broken gimmick thing is really cool, but outside of that, I always went more on the Jeff Hardy side. So I got Matt, and it sounds like you got Matt on this as well too, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's go on to the next one. So we got the AEW Women's Championship. Hikaru Shida defending the AEW Women's title against Thunder Rosa. Thunder made her debut on this past Wednesday on Dynamite. I don't know if you got a chance to see her match or not, but she was pretty impressive. So who do you got? You got Shida retaining, or are you going with Rosa?
I'm going to go with Shida. I think this is a spotlight match for Shida. My bold prediction on the entire pay-per-view would be that if this match is given enough time, it will be the best match of the pay-per-view by far. I think it's cool, and it's something to kind of monitor and see what they're going to do with this NWA AEW partnership. I like where they're heading with that, and hopefully we see some more cross-promotional matches between the two, similar to what WWF at the time and ECW were doing. So we'll see, but I do think that this is a spotlight for Shida to kind of knock it out of the park, and I think this match is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's pretty cool to cross promotion, knowing that Thunder Rosa is the the NWA Women's Champion going up against the AEW Women's Champion in Shida. I think this match has, match of the night potential written all over it. Sheeta's a phenomenal athlete. And, one of the things, and I think you and I maybe have talked about this before, but one of the things about AEW is that the women's division is very light compared to WWE's, right? I mean, WWE's women's division is just, bar none, it's phenomenal at this point. But with the exception of Shida, right, who's kind of been one of the mainstays since AEW first took off about a year or so ago, I've been impressed with this girl since she's been on television. I think every match she's been in, she's delivered. She's a great women's champion. She's got a great athletic ability to her. I mean, she's so tiny, but she can go so hard in the ring there. I think she definitely retains. And, like you said, I'm excited to see a little bit more cross-promotion. Not that I'm a huge NWA or know a lot of the NWA wrestlers, but, I'm always open to seeing new people come in and kind of getting that mainstream exposure here on television.
I think it's just something that never existed with WWE and like WCW back in the day. The egos of Bischoff / Ted Turner and Vince McMahon were too big to do cross-promotional stuff. But in this partnership, I absolutely think, Thunder Rosa could win the match. I don't think AEW has such a strong ego that they are beneath having somebody from another promotion come in and beat their person. I just don't see it happening in this match. But I think that's the difference in where that this cross promotion could be different than anything we've ever seen before. I think there could be some back and forth, and I think that when two companies like this are working together for the sake of making money, I think they can make a lot of money doing it. So I like it. I mean, I'm pretty invested in it.
let's move on to the big three matches of the night. So the first match I have here, the big three, is the AEW Tag Team Championship. So we got the champions, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page versus FTR, right, which is formerly the Revival. I'm so excited for this match. Who do you got?
I think the match is going to be great. I'm going FTR. I mean, Page and Omega are singles superstars. And I think the promotion needs their superstars back. They've held the titles long enough. I'm going FTR, and inevitably it's going to be FTR and the Bucks having some classic matches. I even wouldn't be surprised to see them doing a best of 5 or a best of 7 between the two groups. They like that old school booking. I could watch them on every pay-per-view for the rest of my life, and I think I would be entertained with the new stuff that they would come up with. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going FTR in this, and the inevitable breakup of Page and Omega.
It's interesting because it's also just like Sasha and Bayley, right? It's been such a slow build for Omega and Hangman Adam Page, but I think Hangman and Omega, they've done equally just as great of a job, and they've kind of progressed a little bit even further. Some could argue that maybe Sasha and Bayley has been a little too slow, right? And it's been a couple of years. But if you've been watching Kenny Omega and Hangman, I mean, the fact that Hangman Adam Page is an alcoholic and he's sitting at the bar, and 2 weeks ago on Dynamite, the Young Bucks threw him out of their crew, right, of the Elite, right? I just think it's been a very interesting tale. And then you got FTR, right? You got FTR who came in with a chip on their shoulders. They didn't do, they were doing jack shit in WWE, unfortunately, which is super sad because the Revival is a very talented team. They linked up now with Tully Blanchard as their manager, which is pretty cool. I love to see that. I think FTR, because of the fact that Omega and Hangman are going to inevitably split on Saturday, I'm going with FTR as well. And I'm looking forward to hopefully a best of 30 match between FTR and the Young Bucks.
I can watch it all day. It's a shame that they're what they're known for most in WWE is punching a fan that stormed the stage and tackled Bret Hart in WWE, but they're getting the opportunity to shine in AEW, and I think they're going to continue to shine in AEW.
I was there that night, actually, at the Hall of Fame the night before.
I know you, not to get off onto this, but I know you texted me before it happened, and we were watching it on TV, and you texted me and told me what happened, so I kind of had an idea, but I didn't know if you were fucking with me or what happened, so I kind of just let it play out for the people around. Yeah. But when it happened, it was just a bad situation.
Yeah, but I'm glad for FTR. They deserve something better. Unfortunately, WWE just can't house everybody anymore at this point. So if you're not going to be in WWE and make some money, why not go to AEW and make some really nice money as well too? Competition is great. Honestly, I think it's stepped up both promotions right now. Their games have definitely stepped up. I'm looking forward to this match. So let's go to the semi-main event here, right? You could argue, to me, both of these are the main event. Let's go with the Mimosa Mayhem match, which is just unbelievable that Chris Jericho is still coming up with different match types. I mean, honestly, it's honestly insane at this point. Who do you got in this match?
So for the people that may not be big AEW fans that are listening to the show right now, the stipulation for the Mimosa Mayhem is that the winner is the guy who throws the other person in a vat of mimosa, correct?
Yeah. It's a pool of mimosa, basically, like a swimming pool, above ground pool size almost.
Sometimes too much freedoms create some stipulations in some matches that aren't the best. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of this. I think it's kind of corny, honestly. I get it with the fresh squeezed orange and a little bit of the bubbly, but it comes down to who would be funnier to be thrown in a vat. Although I do think Jericho might get some laughs. I think he's lost enough. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's been in the promotion for over a year now. I think he has 3 or 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. I think it might just be 3 singles losses. Mm-hmm. He doesn't lose much. I mean, he's as big as it gets in that company. He needs to get his momentum back. He doesn't need the win. But I think Orange Cassidy won't lose anything by getting thrown in a vat of mimosa, especially because he has a pinfall win over Jericho already. So I'm going to go Jericho, and he gets his heat back, and he can kind of get his win back. But I don't love the idea of the match.
Really? See, I'm the opposite. I think it's hilarious. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's just so absurd in my opinion that I think that's what makes it great television. You got someone like Chris Jericho, right, who's reinvented himself 10,000 times at this point. His most recent gimmick now is that he's just this absurd old man that just drinks champagne and living that rock star life, right, in his late 40s, early 50s. And then you got the freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, right? I mean, the guy is cool, calm, collective. He wears shades. He keeps his hands in his pockets at all times. He doesn't give a shit when he wrestles, right? He'll do a little kick to the knees, right, to the shin. I mean, it's got money written all over it. This feud's been going on for quite some time. I didn't get Orange Cassidy when he first started. Like, I was like, I don't really get why people think he's amazing.
Neither did Jericho. In Jericho's podcast, he said the same thing. He said,
yeah,
the fucking gimmick is stupid, but he bought in. Clearly, he took a pinfall loss to him.
Yeah, Jericho definitely bought in if he's taking a pinfall loss. And by the way, again, for those of you that maybe don't follow too closely, they are 1-1. Jericho's got one victory, and Orange Cassidy has the other victory. So this is the rubber match between the two, which, again, is putting each other in a fucking pool of mimosa, which... Again, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think it's going to be interesting, though. I'm going with Jericho, though. That's my official pick here. Jericho needs the win. He's lost a few matches to Nick's point. I could think of 2 or 3 off the top of my head as well, too, since he came over to AEW. He's the grandfather of AEW, right? He's the workhorse of the company. He's the reason they put them on the map. He's the Hulk Hogan of AEW.
Yeah, he's that's the exact thing. He's the Hulk Hogan. He is the Hulk Hogan of that promotion.
He is, and so he's got to get some momentum back. I mean, he's at the point of his career now where he could lose every match and he'll still be Chris Jericho, but at some point, you got to understand booking, and you got to understand that he's probably got to get his momentum back and move on after this feud. So I think he's going to come in hot with this win here. Let's go to the main event here. So to me, this is the match I'm looking forward to the most. I don't know about you, but we got Jon Moxley, who's the AEW World Champion, defending against MJF. What do you got, Nick? And tell me what your thoughts are on this whole feud.
I'd have to look back, and I can't think of a single time where one of these matches where somebody's finishing move is banned, that they ever lost that match. I think that they always win, overcoming the odds, so to speak, to win the match by any means necessary. If they're not undefeated in that scenario, they definitely have a win percentage of at least 90%. I'm going Moxley.
And not to cut you off, I want to hear more of your thoughts, but just because I didn't make it clear, what Nick is referencing is the paradigm shift, which is Moxley's finisher, formerly known as Dirty Deeds, is banned in this match. So MJF made a stipulation that Moxley agreed to, saying that he cannot use the paradigm shift or that he would lose, and I believe he would lose the championship if he uses the paradigm shift. I don't know if they made that clear, but I think the title would change hands if he somehow were to put the paradigm shift on. So I know you say you're going with Moxley. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think it'll be a great match. We've both talked on and on in previous podcasts about MJF, and we're both big fans of him. I don't think he needs to win right now. The guy's going to win the title 7 to 10 times in his career. Yeah. I mean, he's money. I don't think he's going to win in this particular match. I'm going to go with Moxley. I think his title reign continues.
He's definitely my favorite wrestler in AEW without even question. Not only is he my favorite wrestler, I think he's going to have the biggest impact when it's all said and done. I think he's going to be the biggest star that AEW ever created. Homegrown.
If you say it like that, then yeah, you're probably
homegrown. Do you agree or no?
Without saying homegrown, I'd go Cody, but homegrown, yeah, MJF. Yep.
The guy's just got a future. I think we've talked about it on this show last week, maybe a little bit. We chatted it up. But MJF, if those of you have not checked out MJF, really aren't into AEW, at least give this man your time and attention. I mean, he is money on the mic. His promo skills are phenomenal. His in-ring ability is actually really, really good as well, too. You know, when he first started, I was like, I don't know. I mean, he's great on the mic, but does he really look like he can go? No, this man can go. You know, I wouldn't say he's got the most technical techniques, you know, from a technical standpoint to his in-ring ability, but you know, he's a great seller. You know, his facial expressions speak for themselves. I think there's a lot of really great reasons to like MJF, none more than his ability on the microphone. I mean, this guy can make you want to throw garbage at him. I mean, he is just a prick 24/7. I may have shared this last week, but when I was on that cruise with my friends, which was the AEW cruise, MJF stayed in character the entire time. I mean, he did autograph and photos, and he basically was like, oh, I'm contractually obligated to be here. I don't want to be here. He didn't break character even for a second. He didn't smile. He didn't like have a normal conversation. He basically told you go fuck yourself 100 times. Like all ship too. Like you would see him walking past because we were all on this cruise together, and people would be like, not me, but people would just be like, MJF, what's up? He'd be like, and just keep walking. Like, just did not give a shit. Like,
yeah, he's great.
A total prick. Stays in character all the time. I think I told you this too, but I have a friend that actually knows his father pretty well because they're from Long Island, and he's met MJF. He's met Friedman a few times, and he's like, in real life, he's like the nicest kid. Very quiet, very to himself. You know, not to kind of peel back the curtain here, but MJF is just money. I mean, I can talk about it.
He probably would be pissed that you just blew that scoop on him.
Breaking news, MJF is really a sweetheart. But the guy could be fucking with me. He could be lying because I have no idea. No clue at all. Because when I met MJF, he had some very choice words for me. I tried to come back with a nice comeback, and he basically went over the top and just made me feel like, you know, nothing. Made me feel like garbage. So
we get that story? Hold on, time out. What did he say to you?
Didn't I tell you this or no?
No.
So we're waiting in line, and everyone's going to meet him, and everyone's so excited because you could just see, like, he's just being an asshole to everybody that's in line with him, right? Like, to the point where there was, like, a little kid, they're like, oh, I'm so excited to meet you. He's like, don't care, like, texting on his phone. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, I got to say something clever because I'm going to make him break character, right? Like, I gotta get him to laugh or say something like that. And I go up to him, and he's got a nice suit on with his Burberry scarf. He's just texting on his phone. Doesn't even look at me, right? Just texting on the phone. I think he sees me from the corner of my eye. And I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? He just kind of like nods, still on his phone, like not even looking at me. I go, truth be told, that suit you're wearing will look better on me than it does on you. He looks at me and goes, truth be told, if you don't stop talking, I'm going to fucking kill myself. And I was like, you win. Good night. And he goes like this. He's like, get off, get out. He just shooed me away. And I was like, bravo.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's super great.
Yeah, he really is. So I'm looking forward to it. I think I gave my prediction, but I'm going Moxley as well too because same reasons as you. MJF's going to be a 10-time champion. Now's not his time. You know, they want to push Moxley. I get it. Moxley's the baby face there. He's one of the big stars right now. MJF, though, it doesn't hurt to take the loss. He's going to win the title 10 times over in the next decade or so.
Agreed.
Overall, I think the show has a lot of promise to it. I'm excited to watch it. I'm going to check it out. You know, Nick, I'm sure you will too in some capacity. You'll be checking it out. Should be a really, really good show. I want to switch over now to some topics that have come over in the last week, and really most of these topics are WWE related. But I want to start with obviously the big news here, which in my opinion, there's two really big pieces of news. But I'm going to go with the Brock Lesnar one first. So they kind of broke news the other day on the internet. I think it was 2 days ago that Brock Lesnar is now a free agent. And the story behind it is that him and Vince have mutually agreed, and you know, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, they're mutually agreed that Brock Lesnar will continue to work for WWE and come back once he's needed, or once WWE feels that it's a good time for Brock Lesnar to come back. So I want to get your thoughts on this, Nick. It sounds like they've kind of gone through this before when I was reading that, you know, Brock was a free agent under the assumption that he would always work for WWE. What do you think about him being a free agent, and do you see him going to AEW or maybe back to UFC?
No, I mean UFC. It's possible. I know Dana White was quoted last week in a potential match with John Jones. Thinking that John Jones, a great intro into the heavyweight division of UFC would be Brock Lesnar. Brock's already announced that he's retired from UFC. He's retired more times than Brett Favre. I don't think he's going back, and at the age that he's in, it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to go back. Why make the money there and do that when you know you're just going to go back to WWE? Him and Vince have this strange love affair with each other. I don't think he's going to go back to I don't think he's going to go to AEW, I should say. Any amount of money that Tony Khan throws at him, Vince can match.
Oh, yeah.
Easy. So why, I just don't see it. I mean, I think Brock Lesnar is a WWE lifer. He's a Hall of Famer. Arguably, if you peel back and you're not talking about guys like Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart, technical wrestlers, could be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I mean, the most believable by far. I think he's great. I mean, I love Brock Lesnar. Always want to watch him when he's on TV. He's a WWE lifer. Yeah, he's a lifer.
Must see. He's the thing about Lesnar is there's nobody more believable in the ring than Brock Lesnar, right? He brings an aspect of realism that legitimizes the sport more than anyone ever has, or probably anyone ever will in the future. John Cena called him the greatest wrestler of all time, and I thought that was interesting. I thought that was interesting that Cena used that. He said Brock Lesnar is the greatest wrestler, the greatest superstar of all time. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anyone would ever agree with that and say he's the greatest. I think he's the most compelling. I think he's, like I said, legitimizes the sport more than any other wrestler. But, I mean, do you think he deserves to be in the same breath as, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels? I mean, guys like that?
He didn't draw as much money
as
Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's not as great a wrestler, professional as Shawn Michaels. But I get more amped. I mean, maybe I'm in the minority. I get more amped for Brock Lesnar matches than I did for Shawn Michaels matches or for Stone Cold Steve Austin matches as a kid. I mean, when Brock Lesnar is listed for a match, I want to watch him. I don't care. I don't give a fuck if he suplexes a guy 17 times and beats him. I just want to watch Brock Lesnar because the man is a freak. He's the strongest.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's believable. He's just a beast. I mean, he is the beast. So he's money, and he draws money. He'll come back when fans. I guarantee. I'll tell you this: when the first event that fans are allowed to attend, Brock Lesnar will be there in attendance to wrestle for Vince McMahon. 100%.
I agree. I mean, he's a marquee wrestler, right? There's never been another guy, another superstar, at least in WWE, that has only wrestled 4 times a year and only on pay-per-view. I mean, besides the SmackDown, show on Fox, right? The first show where he beat Kofi Kingston in 3 seconds for the it was the WWE Championship. When was the last time Brock wrestled on free television? I think it was in like 2004, right? It was before he wrestled.
It doesn't happen.
20. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. I think that's part of the uniqueness, right, of what Brock Lesnar brings to the table is every time he wrestles, it's a must-see match, right? There's build to it. It's not just thrown together last minute. He legitimizes the sport, being a former UFC heavyweight champion and a legitimate badass. I mean, he's got to be the most terrifying guy in the locker room too. I mean, bar none, right? Right? Do you think he's less terrifying than like Bobby Lashley or the Big Show? I mean, they're big dudes, but you don't want to F with Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar is a real-life UFC heavyweight champion of the world.
Right.
I mean, that's it. I mean, and you look at the guys in WWE, and, they all have muscles. There's not a single one that I could beat up in the – well, James Ellsworth is gone, right? He's not in WWE anymore?
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's not a single guy in WWE that I could beat up. I can tell you that right now. So I'm not saying anything about that, but Brock Lesnar is the toughest guy that WWE has ever had. Period, bar none, end of statement. I mean, you can go Ken Shamrock. You could talk about Tyson Fury in this one-off, being the heavyweight champ of the world. I'm going Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar's the toughest son of a bitch that ever wrestled in WWE.
And possibly the scariest son of a bitch that's ever wrestled too, right? Not only is he tough, but he's terrifying. I mean, I think he's one of those guys. I have a small bucket list of wrestlers I haven't met yet. I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of them. And Brock Lesnar, The Rock, maybe and Vince McMahon are the three that come to mind that I have not met. But as much as I want to meet Brock Lesnar, I'm terrified to meet him.
You talk about MJF telling you to go fuck yourself. You're not getting an autograph or a picture from Brock Lesnar. You're just not going to.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he wants to be bothered, and I don't think for him it's a gimmick. I think it's his real life.
Oh, no. I mean, the guy lives in the middle of Minnesota with a fence, a 10-foot high fence or something like that. He does not like people. He doesn't want to be around people. He just wants to be with Sable. Who can blame him? On his farm, living his life, drinking beer, cooking on his big green egg, and having fun.
Yep, absolutely. I think it'll be interesting to see when Brock Lesnar returns. I agree with you, though, too. And I hate to say I'm agreeing with you a lot tonight, but I think Brock comes back probably the first live audience show where fans are allowed back in.
Well, maybe we should break down some Eagles-Giants stuff so we could start disagreeing a little bit.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on that. I'm excited to see what happens for Lesnar's career. The other big story, of course, that broke since the last time we recorded was the big dog Roman Reigns came back. And not only did he come back, in 1 week's time, in a week and a half's time, he is now the Universal Champion and now aligned with Paul Heyman. So, take me back, Nick, from when you first saw it, right, on Friday Night SmackDown about a week ago to what happened at Payback to, basically now in the present time. What were your thoughts when they kind of panned to that backstage? Roman Reigns is sitting on the couch, right, says this is not a spoiler but a prediction, right, or not a prediction, a spoiler, and then it kind of pans over and you see Paul Heyman sitting there.
Well, so the last time we filmed this podcast, we debated whether or not he was a heel or a face. SmackDown let us know before the pay-per-view whether he was going to be a heel or a face, and I thought it was great. Great ending to SmackDown. Thought they build the match perfectly for him to come out, at the end and win the match. I was rooting for Bray to win. But we had both spoke and both felt pretty confident that Braun Strowman was going to take the L to one of the two guys. Now that it's Roman Reigns, we'll see what happens. I thought it was great. I think it's great booking. I think Roman Reigns as a heel is going to be phenomenal. I hate to keep using the same word great, but I think Roman Reigns is an excellent wrestler. I think he has great matches with everybody he wrestles. I think in a weird world, we could start to see this shift where Roman Reigns and maybe even Braun Strowman turn heels, and Bray Wyatt is the good guy. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Here's a question for you, because you mentioned about guys for Drew McIntyre, and I don't want to get too far into this, but now that Paul Heyman is back on SmackDown, do we see AJ Styles go back to Raw and say, fuck this shit? I'm out? I don't know. But I do think that the whole Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and look, Paul Heyman needs a job. He needs something to do, the storyline job, because Brock Lesnar is gone.
Right.
I think it's just great all the way around. Awesome job by WWE getting one storyline right.
Yeah, I was shocked and I think I texted you that night. I was legitimately shocked that they finally pulled the trigger on this, right? The fact that when SummerSlam went off the air, and we had debated about this last week, whether Roman was going to be a face or a heel or a tweener, which means in between, to seeing what happened on SmackDown aligned with Paul Heyman, right? Which in the storyline, there's nobody shadier in the business, right? At least on screen, than Paul Heyman. I thought it was awesome. I think it's a storyline they finally got right. I love the fact that we can go 12 to 18 months now with Paul Heyman having a stable with Roman Reigns and maybe Brock Lesnar, and then maybe one day one of them turns on each other and goes face, and they have a powerhouse showdown to see who's the real big dog in town. I loved everything about it. I want to know, though, right, kind of on the same topic here, because I know you're a huge Bray Wyatt fan. What'd you think about him dropping the title a week later? I mean, personally, I don't think he needs the belt because as the Fiend, but were you a little pissed off that he had to even win the belt just to drop it?
No, because he didn't lose it. When he lost it, he didn't get pinned to lose it, so I was okay with it. I'm a huge Bray Wyatt fan. It's not the same as when he lost to Bill Goldberg, which I thought was just the fucking worst.
Yeah.
He'll go on. We all know he's got a storyline now that's kind of with Alexa Bliss, and we'll see where that goes. Does kind of look like that she might be wearing a mask soon too, and kind of being like a, if he's the Joker, she's the Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
We'll see. I do think that it's going to be interesting. I do think he's going to turn face, and he'll have a run as a good guy. I don't know what that means for his character, and if he could pull off a face character. Everybody's cheering for him anyway. Nobody boos the fucking guy.
True.
Everybody loves him, so he kind of already is a face. We'll see. I mean, I would just keep him doing the same thing he's always doing. Just turn on anybody. I wasn't offended, or it didn't bother me that he lost the title to Roman Reigns.
Why do you think they even gave him the belt? Why didn't they just kind of book that ending of SummerSlam somehow a little bit different?
I think because the fact that he beat Braun Strowman was, I wouldn't say a shock, but it was a change.
Right.
And whenever you have a change on top of a change, it always heightens it a little bit more. I mean, off the top of my head, the first thing I could think of is Yokozuna beating Bret Hart, and then Hulk Hogan coming out and beating Yokozuna. Anytime you get that like secondary on top, it kind of brings it more shock to it. It kind of takes your mind off the possibility that it could happen.
Right.
So I think that, giving him the title could possibly set up a few down the line. I mean, let's face it, if we're booking WrestleMania, it's Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns right now. You would think they're the only two people that I would consider on that show. But that's the only reason why I think that they would do it, and I'm okay with them doing it. Roman Reigns is money. He's their John Cena. I mean, he's their Hulk Hogan. He's their Stone Cold Steve Austin. He draws the most money no matter how many people hate him. So I think it's okay, and I think it's good for business.
Yeah, I loved what you said about WrestleMania, right? Because I think we do get Roman versus Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, at next year's WrestleMania. Obviously hoping that fans are able to attend and they don't have to go through this shit show again. But could you imagine the storyline build with Paul Heyman entering the Firefly Funhouse and being captured and going, "Oh my God!" I mean, it's just great television there.
They could do a lot with it.
Yeah, Paul Heyman is definitely going to be involved in that storyline. They're definitely shying away from the Fiend and Braun Strowman right now, fighting for that title, getting their rematch clause, because I don't know if you saw, but on social media, they just announced that on SmackDown this week, it's going to be a 4-way between Baron Corbin, or King Corbin, Sheamus, Big E, and Matt Riddle, and the winner will face Roman Reigns at Night of Champions for the Universal Championship. So, honestly, prediction-wise, I think Roman holds the belt to WrestleMania at this point. There's no reason to drop that belt at all.
No, but there's no doubt in my mind that Big E Langston's winning that match. I don't think Corbin and Riddle's storyline's not over. Sheamus just lost the match. Big E has a lot of steam behind him. They got nothing for him because he doesn't have his guys with him, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
I would put him as the heavy favorite. I would be utterly shocked if the next pay-per-view is not Big E Langston versus Roman Reigns.
I like it too, because I think Big E can absorb the loss, and then it seems like they're going to be doing a draft probably at the end of September again and early October. So I would have Big E lose and then ship him right to Raw. I think Raw, there's a lot of room for him to grow on Monday Night Raw. A lot of competitors on Raw. Not that there's not on SmackDown, but something tells me if he does, win the Fatal 4-Way, he'll obviously lose to Roman. He won't win the title, and he'll be shipped over to Raw in the trade there in the draft.
Yep.
I'm going Matt Riddle, though. I'm not going to lie. Riddle's my guy. I know you don't like him because you're a piece of shit. That's why you don't like him.
He's the fucking worst. What is there to like about Matt Riddle? I mean, was Matt Riddle a good UFC fighter?
Yeah, man. He's a legit badass, just like Brock Lesnar. Maybe not as big, obviously, but
why do people think he's good? Like, I don't understand. Why? What is good about him?
Dude, he's got so much charisma to him. What are you talking about? He comes out.
All he does is he just runs around and says bro to everything.
No, bro. He comes out. He does a little fist pump to all the virtual fans, which is awesome.
And then he's got like I mean, I can't stand this guy. I mean, just thinking about him just drives me nuts. The bro to sleep. Every move has to have bro in the fucking title. Why can't he just be like RVD? RVD was like a hippie weirdo, yin yang, pot smoking character. He didn't have to say bro. He was fucking awesome. But this Matt Riddle guy is just the worst.
No,
he wasn't. You could have had his debut pay-per-view match on SummerSlam, and he wasn't on the show because he blows. His first match is on Payback, and he beats Baron Corbin. Who cares? The guy's a mid-carder at best.
Wow, what a heel move by Nick here. I think you've been drinking one too many of those clear waters there, buddy.
Right now, you look at Shinsuke Nakamura, you look at Bobby Roode, you look at all the guys, Samoa Joe, you give Kevin Owens because he's won the title. You got Drew McIntyre who's won the title.
Yeah.
Right now, you have to bet $1,000 one way or another. Is Matt Riddle ever the Universal or WWE champion? Ever. $1,000. $1,000.
Yes. Ever? Absolutely.
He's never going to win.
All right, we're gonna make a bet on this. And you heard it. He might. On episode 3 of Mark's Side of the Ring, you heard it here first. Everyone that's watching, all of our fans and supporters out there, Nick and I are betting. We're gonna take this offline with the dollar amount, but you're here to hear placing a real bet. Matt Riddle, I say, wins the WWE/Universal Championship one day. This Joker with his Eagles hat on is saying that he's nothing more than a mid-card junkie. So it's just unbelievable, dude.
Hey. Okay, well, he is a mid-card junkie. That's all he's been, and that's all he's going to be.
All right, well, we got one more topic left that I want to discuss before we're out of time here, and that is something that was pretty sad to me. The Iconics broke up this past week on Raw, which was just thrown out of nowhere, and this is the part about WWE that I hate, when they just come up with stipulations 10 seconds before their show goes on the air. But Peyton Royce and Billie Kay are no longer the Iconics as of Monday. They lost to the Riot Squad, which I think is a snooze fest of a team. Not that I don't like them, but they just don't excite me at all. Whereas I thought the Iconics was one of the only true tag teams of the women's division. What'd you think of them breaking up?
I agree with everything you said, and I can't stand. So you have a division in the women's tag team division, and WWE's done this multiple times. We can each come up with 5 names of teams, and we cannot hit the same names of mixed tag team wrestlers that WWE has come up with to be like the tag team champions or to fight in the division. Now you have a legitimate actual tag team that could fight for it, and you break them up. To lose, and they lost to the team they lost to, which is fine. But who are the current WWE women's tag team champions? A mixed tag team that they didn't know what to do with. Like, you have a tag team right here, and you don't use them in that role. You put mixed tag teams together. CM Punk and Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne, Cesaro and Sheamus. The list goes on. They do it all the fucking time. They did it all the time in the Attitude Era. It's just like, you have tag teams. Like, go back to the old days with Legion of Doom, the Nasty Boys, the Rockers, Power and Glory. Like, so many. You had legitimate tag teams that worked together, and you ruin it. And you put these fucking teams together that you just don't know what to do with. So you're like, fuck it. Let's just put them together. All of that to say, I love it because I'm a huge Peyton Royce fan, and I think that she's going to be the Shawn Michaels to Marty Jannetty and Billie Kay. And you saw Billie Kay fight in that ridiculous fucking Shane McMahon underground fight club, and she got killed. She's going to go off TV for a little bit, and she's going to reinvent herself, and maybe she's successful, maybe she's not. I'd love for her to be like a manager to Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce is a star. I think she's a really good wrestler. I think her as a singles wrestler, I'm excited to see what they do with it. I think she could be really good, so we'll see what happens.
My brother texted me that I think the next morning, and he said Billie Kay gets launched within 6 months. That's his prediction. She's either going to AEW or somewhere else.
Yeah,
I feel bad.
she's the Marty Jannetty, less murdering people. She is the Marty Jannetty of the group.
And you know what's cool, man? I met them twice, actually. I met them at 2 different accesses during WrestleMania weekend, and they're such fangirls. The first time I met them was right before I was going to meet Sting, and they were like, "Oh, do you have another signing after this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to meet Sting." And they just like jumped out of their seats, and they were like, "That is so cool." I don't know if they had, this was like 3 or 4 years ago in Orlando, and I don't think they had met Sting yet, maybe in person. But all of a sudden, they both are like, "Oh!" And they just start fangirling out, which I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, I like them as a group. We've talked about it off air multiple times. I thought they were a great tag team. I just thought they were really, their charisma together, their chemistry together was really good. I'm disappointed to see them break up, but I understand for the big picture why they do it. I just wish WWE would keep tag teams together and not, have all these mixed tag teams fucking winning shit. It's just dumb.
She's probably my second favorite women's wrestler in WWE after Sasha Banks. But yeah, I agree. She's the Shawn Michaels. Unfortunately, Billie will be the Marty Jannetty. I like your theory about going off TV for a little bit. I didn't even pick up on that. The fact that she got killed on Underground. You're right. She might be written off TV for a little bit. Maybe that's why Peyton made like that weird face. But by the way, did you see that when Shane McMahon was like holding her, and that's like all over the internet? Go back and check that out.
No, I didn't. I will. I didn't see it.
Yeah. So Billie gets rocked by Marina Shafir, right? And Shane McMahon puts his arm around Peyton Royce, and she has like this really weird look to her, like, and people are just shitting on the internet, like Shane's a like almost like he's a pedophile, like groping her. So check it out, it's pretty funny. But
I will.
I'm sad. So it remains to be seen what Peyton Royce does in Billie Kay, but obviously we wish him the best. That's all the time we have for today. We got some really nice topics that we're probably going to touch on next week. But as always, make sure you kind of follow us on Instagram. You can find us on the TruExact Radio on all social media platforms. I know this podcast also drops on Spotify. It drops on the iTunes and the podcast app on iPhones. So a lot of different ways to check us out. Our Instagram handles are below our screens here, so definitely give us both a follow if you're not following us already. And for Nick and I, we appreciate everyone tuning in to the Mark Side of the Ring. We're having a lot of fun with this, and we look forward to next week's episode. So, Nick, thanks so much for your time tonight, buddy.
Yeah, it was great to be here. It's good to have some fun, and fly, Eagles, fly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Nick didn't see that, but I put my thumb down. So thanks again, everyone. Take care.